Welcome to CyberFusion's next chapter of Life's a Breach. As promised previously, we're running through a number of sessions on this videocast where we'll be discussing our portfolio, our vendors, talking about innovation and interesting topics out there brought to us by our CISO community, our vendors and our partners. One subject we're going to discuss today is DORA. And with that, I'm going to pass across to one of our vendors, Trustwave, and Rob Horne, who will know a lot more about the subject. And we're going to go through some questions talking about the regulation itself, what's needed, but more specifically, how it can benefit the channel and what partners can do to help their end users with coming compliant with DORA. So, Rob, welcome.
Hi, Steve. Thanks very much.
So, a little bit about yourself. So, you obviously work for Trustwave. What's your role within Trustwave? How long have you been there?
Yeah, I'm principal consultant, part of the consulting professional services, and I head up the EMEA GRC team, which is called Cyber Advisory. So, been with Trustwave just over 3 years. And before that, a long career across many different consultancy companies. And also occasionally I've opted out of consultancy and been the end user, basically. So head of IT, head of security, that sort of thing.
Fantastic. So unless you've been living under a stone over the last 2-3 months, everything on LinkedIn, chat, every journal I see out there is talking about this thing called DORA. Digital Operational Resilience Act. In a layman's terms, for my benefit, could you break down exactly what that means to the financial community? What is DORA?
Yeah, breaking down to layman's terms is not easy because it is very complex, but it essentially tries to do two things. First is have a set of rules that regulated financial institutions can follow around a set of 5 areas. And secondly, introduce this concept of managing your third-party risk. So there's a framework for third-party risk management in there as well. And that's the two main things.
So basically, any financial organisation that suddenly knows they've been breached, they're being breached, there's an onus on them where they have to report it within a set timescale and then also show they've got the methods in place to fix it, report it, and also constantly measure and test. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's one of the 5 pillars, yeah. The others are risk management for ICT risks, and the incident classification and reporting, as you mentioned. The resilience testing, which is, if you've seen the threat-led pen testing or TLPT comment out there, which is otherwise known as red teaming. There's also a lot of other types of tests that are required. The third-party risk management, so managing your supply chain, and sharing arrangements so they can share information across the industry and with EU authorities to help identify and defend from attackers.
You said it was an EU regulation. So why are so many of us sitting here talking about it? And should UK companies be worried about it?
Yeah, it's an EU, and the scope is EU regulated financial entities and their ICT service providers. So, which is estimated to be about 22,000 plus companies in the EU. But it also includes any ICT service provider outside the EU that's providing services to financial entities in the EU, and that could be quite a lot of companies. So really, if your customers have any interaction with a finance company with EU operations, then you really need to start looking at DORA because you could well be in scope of it.
Okay, and will that extend to any other sort of FSI, say money payment companies that offer a service in the UK but out to Europe?
Yeah, definitely. Yes,
okay.
It's quite a wide scope. It's not a one-size-fits-all either. Every financial entity is classified under a certain level, which is based on sort of turnover, number of staff. Service providers are based on what percentage of the market you're supplying services to, whether your services is described as critical. So there's a lot of slicing and dicing as to what's actually in scope and what isn't. And even if you're partly in scope, there are some things you will have to do. But if you're fully in scope, there might be some things that you don't have to do. I know we said keep it simple, but it's not simple in the slightest, I'm afraid.
No, I don't doubt that for a second. So how will it impact the UK?
Well, we've already got a lot of it in the UK anyway under FCA PRA regulations. So it kind of will align with that pretty well. But if you think of the whole finance industry as for an example, as a really complex railway system, a train breaks down on a minor little line somewhere, very little impact. A train catches fire and takes out a major station in a city, it's a big impact. And it's quite obvious that with the interconnectedness of the banking system, this idea of resilience really needs to be quite strong, because it could affect quite a big part of not only the EU but spread across into other regions as well. So definitely into the UK.
And from your experience, and certainly from my experience, we do a lot of business, and the FSI is a huge base of who we deal into through our channel and our partner community. Surely most of the UK financials and European financials have got this sewn up already.
You'd have thought so. Yeah. I like to compare it to GDPR, which came into effect in May 2018, so it's nearly 7 years old. There are still an awful lot of companies out there who are not fully compliant with GDPR or are changing the way they work and saying, does this change affect how compliant we are? So they still don't fully understand it. And that's been out there for nearly 7 years. So this is like all legislation. It's been there for a while, it hits, and then people start reacting. I can't say for certain whether companies are compliant yet, but I'd be really surprised if everybody's compliant. And when you think some of this is quite new as well, and particularly around the sort of third-party risk management, that's for many companies will be something they've not really thought about to some extent. So now they've got a whole bunch of requirements they really need to be compliant with, and mandatory controls and new ways of doing things. And it's going to take, I reckon, quite a few years until they're actually ready. It's also part of a general move towards the harmonisation of resilience and incident reporting across the EU. We've got the EU Cybersecurity Act, which is products and devices, or IoT. We've got CORI in Australia, which is again financial, although it's quite focused and it's not as extensive as DORA. We've got the upcoming UK Cybersecurity and Resilience Bill, which is supposed to match the NIS2 directive, which is another EU one, but again, supplying services into Europe. And that came from the NIS directive originally, and the scope's extended. So you can see this gradual sort of creep into everything needs to be resilient, everything needs to be prepared and able to withstand disruption. And it's going to be other industries as well. So I'm fully expecting the EU to look at healthcare next and something come out in there. And we often think of the EU as a sort of a bellwether when it comes to regulation. So we had that with GDPR. A lot of countries then introduced new privacy legislation which matched GDPR. So is this a global approach to making operational resilience a mandatory requirement more than just a strategy, really? And but another aspect which quite amuses me to some extent, given that interconnected banking world and how one small failure somewhere can have a ripple effect and cause major disruption. What happens at the moment? Governments will bail them out. So is this a move towards pushing the onus on to the financial companies themselves and saying, governments aren't going to support you so much, you need to start doing it? So I think we're going to see this gradual push with new laws coming out, not just in the EU, but everywhere, that says we're in an interconnected world. We rely heavily on technology. We know the damaging effects of a cyber attack, and we need to be much, much better prepared to withstand that impact and recover as quickly as possible. So.
Yeah, and I think we talked about why should partners care about DORA? I mean, firstly, because DORA is on the tongues of all of their customers, so it's vital that they're informed. But I think, more importantly, a lot of partners will be able to talk about it, but might not have the services or experience to be able to service their customers. So the big question, for customers and for the channel, what can Trustwave do to assist the channel in offering these services to those people?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a hot topic at the moment. As you said, it came into effect just less than 2 weeks ago, and it seems that everybody's suddenly woken up and started talking about it. And again, we've had this sort of move towards a global resilience. How do you become resilient, particularly in the cyber world? You look at those products and services that you use, and you look for where you have gaps and say, how can we fill these? And we at Trustwave, so we've gone through DORA. If you take the DORA itself and the regulatory technical standards, that I think 6 are in scope for financial entities. The other ones are around the supervisory authority, what they do. Put them all together, and there's more words in there than Tolkien's The Hobbit. And I think DORA is probably a lot less easy to comprehend as well. So it's a lot of stuff in there. But we've spent over a year going through this, analysing it, understanding the requirements, working out what needs to do. We have a global team that look at compliance requirements and look at the governance and risk management, and attempting to look at and understand and develop services that address all these needs. So it won't come as any surprise to know that we do have a DORA service. It very much follows our accelerator process, which is to take what you already have and apply a practical, straightforward, helpful approach using your current capabilities, but filling that gap. So without a high quality delivery, well, we can come in, do standard approach. Let's understand what it is you're doing, what markets you're in, what you're actually in scope for when it comes to DORA, work out where the gaps are, what you need to do, and how you can best meet those requirements. And hopefully some of those requirements, in fact, pretty much all the requirements of DORA, Trustwave can meet. There are 5 pillars under DORA. You've got ICT risk management, incident classification and reporting, resilience testing, which is where you'll see the threat-led pen testing come in, which otherwise known as red teaming, which I'd like to say that doesn't apply to everybody, by the way, so don't panic and go out and buy threat-led pen testing because you might not need it. But there's a whole load of other testing requirements in there, things like scenario-based, so tabletop exercises, that as well. So it's quite extensive. And then you've got the third-party risk management, and then the sharing arrangements, which is around the reporting and sharing of incidents to help the rest of the industry defend against them. So we have at Trustwave a range of services that can meet these requirements. So we have the services already designed, we have the capabilities, we have the resources, and we have the knowledge. So it's if you're going out and reading DORA and all the other documents today, it's going to take you a long time to understand where you need to be. But we've done the heavy lifting. We're there, we're ready. We can come in and get it sorted very quickly.
Fantastic. I think you pretty much covered, all the questions I had there. And it's brilliant to know that there's companies like yourself that do offer the services to give partners of ours the reach and the expertise to help end users. Would you say that any end users that haven't started this journey yet are in a bad place, or do you feel that the regulation will actually give them a bit of?
Oh, that's a hard one to answer. It really depends on the EU supervisory authorities' desire to punish, to enforce actions, which is impossible to say. But what I will say, if you're on this journey, don't just look at compliance, because you're literally just sort of sticking a finger in a hole and trying to stop the water from the dam coming through. Whereas if you look at your entire security requirements across the board, so DORA says ICT service providers need to be risk managed. What about all your other providers? So you need to look across everything and really look at basing your security on a global standard, NIST cybersecurity framework 27001, which DORA borrows from in places, and say we need to put security in across everything, because if it's not a compliance requirement today, it will be in the near future. So look at all the tools that are out there, look at what you need to do, look at the services that are on offer, and say, is this something that's going to help fill a gap? It's going to make us more resilient. It's going to stop our business from suffering, and it's also going to tick that compliance box as well.
Yeah, so almost like making resiliency part of your strategy, going forward, not just to tick a compliance box, but having it as a fundamental part of your strategy. Yeah,
it needs to be. You've seen companies that have been wiped out by cyber attack or heavy financial penalties or burdens or lost a lot of business. You don't want to be one of those. It's not about, you can never stop yourself being attacked. It's about how you recover from that. And the companies that can contain it, deal with it, recover quickly are the ones that are going to be successful in the future. And you do that through having a fully robust security management in place that covers your all operations. So a compliance is just like, I've done everything else, now I can just tick the box at the bottom. Whereas if you treat compliance as the be all and end all, then you're missing an awful lot of things that you shouldn't be.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. We discussed the DORA regulation. There's going to be a lot of end users out there that obviously, it's just come into force, not quite sure the next steps, and probably looking to their trusted partners, their advisors within the channel community, the resellers, to give them, a hand with this. Apart from partners needing to know, what DORA stands for, it's beneficial that they understand partners like Trustwave, what they can actually utilize you for to help them deliver those services to a customer. So if we went through the various pillars of DORA, could you sort of single out some of the services that Trustwave could actually provide to those partners?
Yeah, of course. So look at the ICT risk management, which is the first pillar. So we have a lot of risk management services that we can offer that could be specific or general. We're security, certainly sort of formalized security as espoused by 27001. The ISO standard is risk management based, so we have a lot of experience in there. The incident classification and reporting, we have a whole branch of the company that deals with incidents. They'll do forensic readiness, incident investigation, incident response. They can be on call immediately for you, so that dealing with an incident is a big issue. It's something that many companies are not prepared for. So we can be your expert partner in there, come in, help you, and take that forward and make sure that you're dealing with everything correctly. Then the third pillar, which is the resilience testing. So not just the red teaming, there is penetration testing in there, there's vulnerability management, there's things like scenario testing, which is a sort of traditional tabletop crisis simulation type thing, where you typically involve your senior leadership team. And there's also requirements for business continuity testing in there as well. So it's testing the whole organization at every level to make sure that you're ready and resilient. And we do all that. We have spider labs that are very, very good set of pen testers, some of the best I've seen in my many years in the industry. And we do the crisis simulation, the tabletops, the business continuity testing, all of that is we're doing day in, day out. Then the third-party risk management, this is quite a new thing. It's coming in, so it's really important. So we do have what we call a managed vendor risk assessment process in there. We're actually looking at developing that into a much bigger service, which will cater for continuous monitoring, full fifth-party identification, threat intel on your suppliers, so what they're facing you can know about as well. So we're good at that. We've got that all under control. And last one, information sharing, which is really around how you report up to the supervisory authority on what's happening. And again, that comes into our sort of incident management type approach when we're very familiar with reporting requirements, regulatory, industry specific, not just EU, UK, but globally as well.
Okay, so extensive list of services there that.
Those, yeah. Then you've got our other services, things like our managed detection response and managed SOC, which Mail Marshal, the email security platform, and Web Marshal. So all these add to your comprehensive security approach. Again, as we say, compliance is pushing people towards becoming more secure. So don't just tick the compliance box. Be secure everywhere. You look at phishing, for example, and phishing is still the most prevalent type of attack out there, and it is still successful in cases. So you need a multi-layer defense against that. It's not just we have a platform that filters our email. There's how do you monitor whether that's happening? So you need your SOC, your phishing email analysis. You can see what it's trying to do, how they're trying to get through your defenses. And then you've got other defenses as well, like your separation of duties, so that one person can't release the money out to the hacker's bank account, and multi-factor authentication, so that an attacker can't just grab your username and password and launch an attack. They need something else. So you need all these stacked on top of each other. And that is a comprehensive approach to security and resilience. And that's what we would push as being the ideal, what you need, particularly in this day and age as well. It's only going to get worse.
Yeah, no. So the great thing I'm hearing is the fact that if I've not quite started, or I'm only just starting on that journey for DORA, you've got the services to be able to offer partners where we can come in and actually assess where you are right now, and the steps that are needed. And then you've also got the services to take them forward with a successful strategy to be able to meet all the right criteria for DORA.
I mean, we do speak to companies and they say, we come in and assess where we are in this area. We'll say, well, we've done an assessment. You're okay. You're not great. There's a lot of things missing here. And they've looked at what's that going to cost us in terms of applications, resources, time. Or we can go and buy that from Trustwave and save money. So we can come and help you build that, or we can provide it as a service, which hopefully will be more cost effective, but certainly will be a lot quicker and easier for you to implement. So we're trying to cover every base there.
Absolutely. Both great options for our partners and for their customers out there. So hypothetical, Rob, if one of my partners was to call me tomorrow and they've had a call from their customer who is all over the place, doesn't quite know where they are on the journey, what could Trustwave go into tomorrow and do for their customer in terms of like an assessment and then the follow-on services?
Yeah, first thing is to go in and we use our accelerator process, which is take what you have and practical, helpful, straightforward. This is what you've got today. This is where you need to be. And then we can point out how you can get there. That's the first thing. And that utilizes our year plus of research into DORA, so we fully understand absolutely everything about it. At the back of that, there may be things where we find gaps, so we can say, well, you have a gap, you're in scope for red teaming, we can do red teaming for you, or you'll need to beef up your vulnerability management, we can do that for you. Your risk management is very basic, you need to increase the scope and the capability. We can go in and help you improve your risk management processes. And various other things, incident management, we have a whole team, global team that deal with incidents day in, day out, and they can help you develop your processes and stand with you and assist if anything should go wrong. So everything that DORA requires, we can address, and the gaps that we may find when we look at the customer's organisation, we have solutions for all of those.
Fantastic. So basically, simplifying a very complicated subject, you would go in with your accelerator program, do a tick box exercise, see where they're successful, see where they've got the gaps, and then go away, run a report, and come back and offer them the services to help tick those areas where they haven't quite complied.
Yes, at its most basic level, yeah.
Yep.
There's a bit more in there.
I like to keep it very basic for myself. Well, Rob, thank you very much for your time.
Oh,
really
thank you.
Appreciate having you here today and getting your knowledge and experience. As discussed there, guys, Trustwave, they know everything there is about DORA. The services are available. If you want to extend your services as a partner to your customers who are fretting about DORA, they haven't quite got up to speed yet, got the relevant regulation in place, please come and speak to us, because Trustwave have all the experience, the services at the back end, and they can give you that handheld journey to go forward and offer this out to your customer. So thanks very much.